Everybody, the purpose of this video is to go through some of the things that we need to cover towards the end of the year. This may apply directly to you. Some of it may not apply much to you, but largely what I would like to do, and the reason Candace is sending this out to everybody, is to either meet face-to-face or have a Zoom or talk on the phone with basically everybody before the end of the year, just to make sure that we've covered some certain things. And I will cover that checklist here in a minute. Some other updates out there that many of you have asked, so I just want to cover it, is volleyball season's over for both my girls. You know, they're in high school volleyball players. They had a great run, went off to the state tournament, made it to the second round, and the team that beat them is still playing. They're off in the Final Four. So that's great, and we're off into club season next. Allie got accepted into Alabama, so that's pretty exciting news. For those that don't know, I was born in Mobile, of all crazy places. I don't really sound like it with my accent, but Allie was actually born in Montgomery. So we have significant ties to Alabama. So roll tide, and it'll be awesome if she hopefully decides to go there, which I think she will. And she's not going to play in college. She's ready to retire from the sport. It kind of breaks our heart, but it's her decision and not ours. So as far as market updates, you know, the market's been kind of screaming higher, largely by some of these crazy themes. We have the metaverse out there, which I absolutely love that theme. And then we have the electric vehicle theme, which I think it's a crowded space. So I have some folks in that, not everybody. It's high risk. I think it has a decent chance to come crashing down when people figure out that Rivian produced 150 cars and Volkswagen produced like 90,000, and people are valuing Rivian higher. You can do what you want, but not me. But for the folks that have insisted on it, it's been a heck of a run. But other than that, you know that my next AIB, Investment Advisory Board meeting, is on January 5th. That's above my head there. So please tune in for that. That's where you get a full hour and a half of me talking about what we're investing in, what the themes that we just had invested in, and what's the pivot that we're going to do for 2022. But it has been a little bit surprising. You know, if you flash back to the one I did at the beginning of November, beginning of October, I was a little bit negative on the fourth quarter because of the expected tax reform. Tax reform really hasn't happened yet because the infrastructure bill, remember, going to have it passed by the 4th of July. I remember that. Well, it didn't. It just got passed. And I had the luxury of being invited to an economic forum. Okay, yes, it was in Palm Beach. So, I mean, it wasn't a bad trip either. But anyhow, I have a whole big information packet of 160 of us that were able to go to this forum. I would say these are some pretty, you know, I'm probably close to or the dumbest person in the room as far as this topic. So it was a good crowd to be in. And I learned a tremendous amount. And it really broke down how the elections, you know, the blue wave and the agenda, and how the elections already at the 1 year point, some things started changing. And if you think about it, we're a year out from the midterm elections. So we had the blue wave, this very aggressive agenda that was supposed to spook the market. And guess what? The reason the market has not been spooked is because the agenda has not really played out aggressively, right? We really don't have that scary tax reform yet, and we may not get it. And when you think of the Federal Reserve and you think of, are they going to, you know, they did the bond tapering. Market did not have a taper tantrum. You know, if you Google that, if you don't understand that reference. But as far as raising rates, I mean, literally, there's no way. I've always said it's going to be on into 2023 or even longer. But everybody in the room to a T said there's no way the Federal Reserve, first of all, which we turn over the chairman, or Powell's probably going to get reappointed, but you don't know, you turn over somebody else. But there's no way they're going to raise rates right before the midterm elections. That would be insane. That would spook everybody. So I just don't think it's going to happen. So I think we're going to cruise on into 2022 like nothing's really all that different. So, you know, be confident in your investments. Market's going higher. All right. Some of the things we can talk about during our meeting are many of the pages that are in this crazy book of charts and things. If you have questions on what's going on economically, you can reach out and ask me that. Okay, let's focus. So that's a market update. As far as I talked about the investment themes, metaverse plays, if you're seeing Facebook show back up in your portfolio, largely I left that due to privacy concerns. Zuckerberg, I don't care your opinion of him. He's changing the world, right? Like Elon Musk is changing the world, and the metaverse has a lot to offer, and all the cryptocurrencies and stuff can live inside the metaverse, all, you know, without having to worry about the US government and things. So there's the movies that have been made about this, Ready Player One, Wall-E to a certain extent, talking about robots kind of taking over. I do think we see a lot of that coming out. So we certainly want to have some money invested in that. So I won't talk specific names, but there are certainly plays that are showing back up in your portfolio. Okay, the fixed income stuff we've been in, that's all working great. If you have questions on any of the KDUCs, which is Ares Management, or any of the Blackstone stuff that I have you in, that's trucking along. Obviously, inflation is a major theme out there. So if you have money sitting in the bank, significant amounts during a 5% plus inflationary environment, no one's going to listen to you cry 5 years from now that you sat there with money in the bank that whole time. That's the worst. That's the biggest losing investment out there as far as guaranteed loser money in the bank in an inflationary environment. So put it to work in some form of fixed income. Largely, you have to go to the markets for that because CDs don't really exist. So bring it on board with me. If you have money with me, you know where I'm putting it in tax-free municipal bonds, which are boring, but they also pay 2% tax-free. So depending on your tax rate, that's almost 2.5%, 3% really. Return, so better than the bank. Not quite keeping up with inflation, but not getting inflated away either. Okay, the end of year checklist, which is the core of this. Just wanted to give you those two quick updates first, family as well as market stuff. But as far as the end of year things that need to happen, remember, tax strategy takes place in current year. Tax planning is current year. Once it's January 2nd, a lot of those things that your CPA might question you on in late March, and why didn't you do this, is because now you're in tax reaction, right? So you want to think about those things now during a busy time of the year with the holidays. I get that, but carve some time out. Let's talk about it. Make sure you're on the right place, because a lot of things you can't change once the new year flips over. So there's tax loss harvesting. Largely, I mean, I go through every month and I look at every loser we have and try to cut it out if I can, if it makes sense, and harvest those losses and put into something that it's going to go higher, first of all, to make money. But that's a good way to be tax efficient. Also, Roth conversions. I'm not generally a huge fan of Roth conversions, but there are times to do it. And it generally takes a specific situation where you're low income for 2021, lower than normal. It's all relative to your normal income. But there might be an opportunity, or if you want to phase a long-term conversion in where you're converting 25K a year or something, talk to me about that and we'll make that happen. Paperwork processing towards the end of the year. If you think on January 28th, you can have a brilliant idea and it's going to happen, we might be able to make it happen sitting here, but put it into the, TDA or Schwab, and don't expect miracles. So get in front of it is what I'm saying. Retirement accounts, we definitely want to take a look at those. Some of you have required minimum distributions. So for sure, we will take a look at that. Don't forget that they changed the rules with inherited IRAs. So you have to take all of them in 10 years now. So it's a significantly higher distribution, and there's a tax cut to that, right? Because most of them are taxable if it's a traditional inherited IRA. 401k contributions, open seasons, kind of generally that November timeframe. So if you're not signed up, now's the time to sign up. And if you are signed up, make sure you're at least getting the match. So if you never look at these things, this is the one time a year to do it. And also review your beneficiaries. If you have a nightmare scenario, beneficiaries move automatic and they move independent of probate, and they move independent of the law. So in other words, if your Roth IRA says half of it's going to your ex-husband, if something happens to you, half of it will go to your ex-husband. There's no doubt. And there's nothing you can say or do to Schwab, me, anybody else to put common sense in play. It's gone. It's retitled into somebody else's name. So make sure you know what you have. You can check it online yourself. You can call us and have us check it out for you, and we can tell you how to change it. So make sure that's square. And then a couple of last things I'll close with: charitable giving. If that is your thing, make sure you're financially set first, is my advice. But if you're financially independent, you want to start giving away money, there's a tax advantaged ways of doing that, I should say. So let's talk before you just start giving it away, and you might be able to save yourself a couple of dollars to either turn around and give more or keep more, whatever you want to do with your money. And the last one, if you happen to have a flexible spending account, remember those expire at the end of every year. So you have to get in and spend that. Otherwise, it's gone for the year. All right. That's all I've got for you. Thanks for listening this long. And again, a reminder, just hop on the calendar with Candace. We're trying out a new Calendly system. So in theory, it's going to work great. In reality, please be patient if it doesn't. But we'll work through it either way. So Zoom call, in person, or phone call. It's kind of whatever you prefer. If it's a couple, I'd generally have both of you there if we can, just make sure everybody's on the same page. And we'll try to talk between now and the end of the year. So, all right. Thanks again for your trust and confidence in Ankerstar Wealth and helping you meet your financial goals. And we'll talk to you next time. Bye.